improvement. Even improvement in general. It's freaking hard to get. Anyway, it feels hard to get. I've been arting for 4 years now, and sometimes I wonder if there's been much improvement, and how much my art's changed. So, let's see, shall we? Art has been a very big part of my life, of how I express myself. So much has influenced my art style, and I'm pretty excited to see all the little changes and influences that really brought me here in my art journey. And I'll also be pointing some of them out to you guys. Like some of my biggest inspirations, and how over time my inspirations changed. So, my art journey has been interesting. Strap in, get some coffee, it's going to be a wild ride. When I started with my 2023 yearly illustration, I immediately had a vision of what I wanted. Something with lots of lines, going completely crazy and just all over the place. And this time I want the lion to be a little more lionish. Last time his face looked really squished, and I am so sorry. But with the vision in mind, I wonder how exactly I'm going to get it down on paper, let's say. As time goes on, it does get easier to get mental images down onto paper, but there's always that worry in the back of my head, saying I might not have the skill enough to get it down on paper easily. To ease my nerves, I'll just turn to the simplest first step: thumbnails. Although I don't do it often, thumbnails are very helpful. And if you don't know what a thumbnail is, it's basically a small little pre-sketch that you kind of figure the main points of the picture out. And I should really be doing this more often because it really helped me plan out what I wanted to do. And when I made the thumbnail, I was quite happy with it. It helped me calm my nerves and get a better picture of what I wanted. And I was actually quite surprised at which direction I went into for this piece's art style or concept. It seems a lot more eerie or alienish compared to the other three I'd done. But I am happy to say I am content with the thumbnail. Yet, as I drew my final sketch for the art piece, it didn't come out looking exactly like the thumbnail. The wings were more curved, but the references I had looked at for the dove wings looked a lot different, and I couldn't figure out how to curve it nicely, so I just made it more like a triangle shape in the whole picture. But it kind of frustrated me because I did like the thumbnail a lot. It gave me a satisfying feeling. I felt like it better conveyed a hug almost, and this looked sharp, and I didn't like it at first. As I continued on with blocking in the colors, I kind of dreaded putting in the crazy lines. I've never really done anything with crazy lines, and although I wanted to try it out, it felt a little scary as this was my yearly illustration. It was a really nice art piece, or supposed to be so, at least. So I thought to myself, I'd make a small little compromise and literally just make the lion's face light. Literal glowing light so you can't see the face. There's no detail. Just a small little compromise. It's nothing. It'll be fine. I can face my problems another day. And another thing I did differently through the making of this art piece is I relied a little more on references. Although I had a reference last time for wings, this time I had it for a lion's face as well. Although I did say the lion's face would be light, I'd rather just have the general outline and the shape of the lion's face so that if you kind of see it, you can kind of see there's like a lion's face shape back there. Plus, the references really helped me to figure out the dove wings, and it really saved the lion's face. It looks so much more lion-y. The other one was so squished and I regret it so much, and I still cringe when I look at it. Anyway, as I continue, I notice I start detailing the face way more than I intended to. It's what you can expect from a perfectionist. But looking away from that, across the illustration you can see all kinds of shapes and lines. And I noticed that compared to the piece from last year, I'm a lot more comfortable with the shapes in my piece. I'm not so controlling and trying to make it perfect. Although I still am a perfectionist, it's become something a little less noticeable. I've kind of started letting things happen. Just like the lion's jaw, it's a little wonky. And honestly, I think sometimes the wonky bits or things that I didn't really plan for are charming. It's part of the character of the art piece. Looking at the face now, I realize I'm a lot more comfortable. I've kind of warmed myself up. And that is why I am going back to Plan A. I'm going to try to face my responsibilities and do those crazy lines. Watching how the art piece is coming together slowly, I feel a little nostalgic. My inspirations for my art style has changed so much over the years. When I first became serious about art, I went to art class for the first time. And there I discovered so many new things. My art teacher opened a whole new world for me to explore. And something like a year into art class, I discovered illustration. I fell in love with it because it was so closely tied to storytelling. And when I looked at illustrations, it just gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling. When I first started taking art seriously, I wanted to do everything super realistically, just be so good at art. But when I discovered illustration, I just fell in love. And I love those simple shapes and the simplifying of everything. And it seemed like every mark was calculated. Since it was so simple, you had to decide and plan everything. Not in a controlling or painstaking way, but you really had to consider every mark you put down. And as the years kept going, I started looking into a kind of illustration that was for children, and things that were interesting. Like the crazy lines I'm doing today, it was something that was really expressive, something fun and loose. And it's quite surprising considering how much of a perfectionist I really was. But to be honest, I can see why it happened. But as I start adding the crazy lines, I'm feeling a little frustrated with the speed of the progression. The crazy lines just feel way too subtle, but I am too terrified to go crazy. But I take a deep breath. I'm just going to take it one step at a time and go a little crazier with each inch. I'll just build it up slowly until I regain my confidence. Finally, I start just going for it. After making those first crazy lines, I feel so much better. And finally getting over the worst part, I start seeing how much I've improved, and I really feel happy about it. Also including the changes of my art style and the direction of where I want to go with my art. It really comforted me and motivated me. I started to really enjoy making this art piece. I'm finally trusting the abilities God blessed me with, and the knowledge He gave me over the years. It helped me to just relax and enjoy making this art piece. But in real life, it wasn't as easy. Before the year ended, I wanted to accomplish something during my holiday, to finish the year on a good note. Me and my cousin Star did a sort of dedication week, which we called a potato week. It's a long story, but it's based on the movie Faith Like Potatoes. Definitely recommend it. And this potato week was particularly called, in full, the potato week of prayer and dependence on God. I wanted to do as much as possible, every day, but also not push myself too far and rather let things happen and still be thankful for the week. And I also wanted to make sure I enjoyed my holiday, went out to places, and did stuff. And the start of the week was amazing. I did a lot of stuff, and I even got a new, really pretty Bible. But as the week went on, my motivation faded. It was expected. I expected it. I usually had a burst of motivation, and then it slowly curved down. But with the fading motivation came really bad news. My dog, Caesar, of 8 years, 8 wonderful years with us, had passed away. And this, ironically, was on the last day of the year, 31st December. It seemed like everything was against me in that moment. Everything came down to fear. And at that moment in my life, I was facing fear. I was facing the fear of unknown. I am going to spend a whole year without Caesar, my beloved cuddle bug. And even in this art piece, I was facing fear of not knowing how to do things. I didn't see the future. I didn't know whether it would turn out okay. I didn't know whether I would be able to make it. Life is not over yet. Obstacles and mountains do not mean you stop in your tracks and stop progressing. It's merely a different way of progressing. This entire time, I've been climbing up the mountain, and I reached the top, and I was so happy, and now I'm going down. I'm going down to the foot of another mountain to face. And going down a mountain is different from going up. You have to be a little more careful, I'd say. You're more tired, you want to get down. You just want to be over with it, with the whole process. And even as I was writing the scripts and highlights for the recording of this video, or rather voiceover, that was the day I lost my cuddle bug. And you might find that strange. If I was writing the scripts and things for the voiceover, wasn't I sad? Well, hadn't I given up? Isn't that what it sounds like? But no, even though I have to face another mountain, I'm going to face it. I want to face it. And I'm, of course, not bottling up my emotions. I'm going through today slowly, but I realize that I have to continue on. Caesar gave me such joy through most of my life, but I still have another doggy, Lily. She's happy and she's very playful, although also 8 years old, and she still needs my attention, my loves, and lots of scratches, of course. I am not denying the fact that I'm grieving, but I don't want to be a pile of gloomy mush. I don't want to dwell in my sorrow, not too much. I still have a beautiful life ahead of me, even though I'll face mountains again and again. I'm going to climb them again and again, and I'm going to reach the tops again. And I'm not going to be alone. I'm not alone. No one is alone. Like in Narnia, I have God taking care of me, walking between me and the edge of the mountain, not just helping me survive, but keeping me alive, living, helping me slow down and see the little things and be thankful for all of them, no matter how small. All of that summarized, the main point is trusting God, enjoying the journey, and not allowing for fear to be our master. I'm sure all of us have seen some part of what fear does to people. It makes them freeze or run away, and then they end up never climbing the mountain. But trusting God, trusting the process and the plans He has for you, you're able to see that mountain in a new light, and not just focusing on the top, but being excited for the journey, for the little tiny flowers you find along the road. And perhaps you all have someone close that you journey with. I personally have Star as my journey partner, companion. And with the help of God, I'm able to enjoy the journey with her. And although it's scary, and of course I'm still afraid, I don't let fear be my master, nor sadness nor grief be my master. But anyway, I think I'm done rambling about all of that, and I do hope it helps in some way. I mean, the rambling really did help me. But the rambling isn't exactly what you came for, I'm sure, or at least most of you. So let's turn to the yearly illustrations and compare them. As you can see, in the first illustration of 2020, everything's way more simple and bright. There isn't a lot of texture. I don't really mind the simplicity, but my biggest criticism is the contrast, or lack thereof. I'd say the most contrast you have is the girl's shirt and the wing. But, as you can tell, this was about the time I learned about complementary colors. And if you didn't know, purple and yellow is complementary. This was where my obsession with complementary colors started. Then, with my 2021 illustration, you can immediately see a difference. The contrast almost hurts my eyes, but it's a really good step up from last year. If you look closely, this was around the time I learned a lot more about shapes. The girl and the wing are almost boxed in a triangle shape. Putting things in shapes like this helps even better with contrast. And of course, in the background, this is the first appearance of the serpent. Moving on to 2022, you can quickly see there's a lot more line art. This is when I started getting into the kind of illustration I really like today, with all the beautiful, delicious texture. Sorry for my descriptions. But as you can see, a lot of these things were technical, very precise. If you look closely at the serpent's chains in the background, the chains are really blocky, very square, not very loose at all, compared to the one I did today, or for this year. And this one was actually the year I struggled the most with the yearly illustration. I don't know whether you could tell, but it's a lot foggier. And, of course, there's the lion face that I really regret. But surprisingly, the thing I most enjoyed and loved about this piece was the grass and the plants. I actually let myself be more loose with it. I wasn't as scared because it was kind of less noticeable. I felt more free to just go with the flow. And of course, coming back to 2023, oh my gosh, that feels so weird to say, I went a lot crazier with the texture. And my colors even shifted towards a warmer orange. Throughout the years, it was yellow versus purple. Now it's like a warmer like orange and yellow versus purple and bluish. And I am just obsessed with it. I am really, really happy with how it turned out and how the crazy lines turned out. I really felt like I pushed through to another level of my illustration. Anyway, enough with the rambling. Let's end this video, shall we? If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you find my content entertaining, please subscribe. I'd love to welcome you into the family. And if you want to see more gorgeous art, check out my cousin Star's channel. Thank you so much for your company today. I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you again soon. No, hold on. As I wait, and cringe at it, in the abilities God blessed with